My wife chose to defend her son after he nearly burned our house down. Now she's leaving me, but I have one last surprise. I never thought my life would spiral so quickly, but here I am, sitting alone in my apartment, staring at the remnants of what used to be my family. I'm 38 years old, a restaurant owner in Denver, and until recently I was married to a woman I truly loved. But everything unraveled when her son, a troubled 19-year-old, nearly burned my home down. I pressed charges against him, and in the aftermath, my wife left me. My reputation was dragged through the mud, and I found myself standing at the edge of a life I no longer recognized. It all started when I met my wife, Sarah. She was strong, beautiful, and full of life, but she came with baggage, a teenage son named Dylan. At first I didn't see it as an issue. I figured I could bond with him over time, find some common ground, and become a positive influence in his life. When Sarah and I married, I was determined to be patient and understanding. I took him to local football games, offered him shifts at the restaurant to make extra cash, and tried to be the stepfather he never had. But no matter how much effort I put in, Dylan never warmed up to me. His attitude was a slow burn, starting with minor defiance, ignoring curfews, rolling his eyes when I asked him to help around the house, making it clear that I wasn't his real dad. I tolerated it, hoping it was just the usual teenage rebellion. But things escalated. He started skipping school, coming home at all hours, and openly disrespecting me in my own home. Sarah dismissed it as teenage angst, constantly defending him, telling me I needed to be more understanding. The problem wasn't just Dylan. It was Sarah's unwillingness to acknowledge that he had serious behavioral issues. One evening, I found him lurking in my storage room behind the restaurant, rummaging through old bottles of cleaning chemicals and grease-covered rags. When I asked what he was doing, he muttered something about being bored. It unsettled me, but I didn't push it. Maybe I should have. Then came the night that changed everything. I had just finished a long shift at the restaurant, exhausted and smelling of grilled meat and fryer grease. I walked into the house, only to hear Dylan muttering under his breath. I ignored it, too drained to deal with his nonsense. An hour later, I heard noises coming from the backyard. When I went to check, I saw Dylan standing near my fence, holding a lighter. Before I could process what was happening, flames erupted along the wooden post, creeping dangerously toward the house. My heart pounded as I grabbed the garden hose, dousing the fire while screaming at Dylan, who just stood there with a smirk. Sarah arrived moments later and rushed to Dylan's side as if he were the victim. She dismissed it as an accident, saying he didn't mean for the fire to get out of control. But I knew better. This wasn't just recklessness. It was a deliberate act. The next morning, Sarah begged me to let it go, to not involve the police. But I couldn't ignore what had happened. I had spent years building my life, my home, my business. I wasn't about to let it all go up in flames. I filed a police report, and Dylan was arrested for attempted arson. That's when Sarah turned on me. She accused me of overreacting, of destroying our family. She packed her things and left, filing for divorce soon after. As the case moved forward, I found myself trapped in a whirlwind of emotions. Friends and family had mixed reactions. Some supported me, while others thought I should have handled it differently. Sarah's sister called me every name under the sun, telling me I had ruined Dylan's future. But I stood my ground. Dylan was 19, legally an adult, and his actions had consequences. Then came the discovery that solidified my decision. I had installed security cameras around my house months earlier after a string of neighborhood break-ins. When I reviewed the footage, what I saw made my blood run cold. Multiple times over the past few months, Dylan had been outside at night, setting small fires in a metal can, tossing burning paper near the fence, and even talking to a friend about making my life miserable. This wasn't a one-time mistake. It was a pattern of dangerous behavior. I turned the footage over to the authorities. When Sarah found out, she was furious, accusing me of spying and violating Dylan's privacy. But at that point, her opinion didn't matter. The evidence was undeniable. Dylan wasn't some misunderstood kid making a mistake. He was reckless and dangerous. The footage sealed his fate, making it impossible for his defense to claim the fire was accidental. As my marriage crumbled, so did any illusions I had about Sarah's loyalty. During the divorce, she tried to claim a portion of my restaurant, arguing that I was financially unstable. But she had never contributed to the business, never invested in it. My lawyer shut that down immediately. She wanted something out of the marriage, but she walked away with nothing. Dylan's trial concluded with a plea deal. He received probation, but the judge didn't hold back in condemning his actions. I wasn't there for the sentencing. I didn't need to be. I had already moved on mentally, distancing myself from the chaos they had brought into my life. The divorce was finalized, and with it came a strange sense of relief. No more walking on eggshells, no more feeling like the villain in my own home. Sure, I felt lonely at times, but I also felt free. I focused on my business, surrounded myself with friends who had stood by me, and found peace in knowing that I had done the right thing. Even now, when I pass by the section of the fence that had been burned, I feel a mix of anger and relief. Anger that things had to end this way, but relief that I had stood my ground. Sarah and Dylan may hate me for it, but that's their problem, not mine. Actions have consequences, and I refuse to apologize for protecting my home and my life. Looking back, I sometimes wonder if things could have been different. If Sarah had set boundaries, if Dylan had gotten the help he needed, if I had been more forceful early on. But wondering doesn't change the past. What's done is done. Now I'm just focused on the future. Running my restaurant, spending time with friends, and enjoying the simple peace of knowing my home is safe. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that sometimes you have to let go of people who refuse to take responsibility for their actions. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more real-life stories and experiences. Thanks for watching.